most people at this point understand what happened with Alex Murdaugh, but in case you don't, he was just found guilty of murdering his wife and his son, his 22-year-old son. He shot them both, shot his son Paul in the face, shot his son's head off, was the testimony. Shot his wife Maggie at least 5 times. It was a painful death. And was this very well-respected attorney, 4th generation, money, law. His whole family had been the solicitors in this so-called low country in South Carolina. And that means like the chief prosecutor. So they really were the law. And he had a decent amount of dough. We later found out he was on drugs, or so he said, had tons of money problems. He'd been stealing all this money from his law firm and so on. So his life was imploding. But just on paper, the guy looked like he had it all together. And I listened to the whole trial. There was no allegation of domestic abuse. There was definitely outside of the trial an allegation of that he cheated on her. That did not wind up in front of the jury. The sister of Maggie, the murder victim, said that she was happy. She said, they had their problems, but she was happy. So, there was no evidence of a controlling personality when it came to her, I guess. I mean, not that you'll tell me, but, and then the son, of course, this son had gotten him in trouble. The son had been driving the boat in his fatal boat crash that killed a 19-year-old girl, Mallory Beach. They were being sued for it. It was really upending Alex's life. But let's start there. Do you see coercive control in the Alex Murdaugh case?
Yes. And the clue is in the fact that he controlled everything. Their family controlled everything. That name in that region is a very powerful name, and we mustn't lose track of that. They created the laws, they were the law, right? So he always got his way. And that's a very important point, because when someone always gets their way, they don't have to be irate or upset about something, because they can just control things through their power, their personal power, but also their family power. And just looking at what happened with Paul, and what a horrific situation with Mallory on the boat. And I first just want to say, she really is the primary victim, the first victim, and that Paul put the boat into gear, having assaulted his ex-girlfriend and assaulted her in front of everybody. And that was the first time that others saw that he was abusing her. Well, where did he learn that behavior from, of abusing her multiple times? There was a whole history. He was 22, or he was younger then, but he was abusing her. And she gave testimony about horrific abuse that she suffered. Well, where did he learn that from? And his entitlement. She's come on camera.
She's now in a special talking all about it. I saw it too. It was chilling, and it was repeated.
And horrific abuse. And I applaud her for speaking out. But I don't think the apple falls far from the tree. And he's learned that behavior somewhere. And his name, he's learned that he calls his granddad up and his dad, and they fix everything for him. So there's no accountability, no responsibility taking. And that's what that family have been doing for generations, because they were the law and people were scared of them. And I've spoken to people in that area. They've told me this themselves. So we mustn't forget the name and their wealth and what that means to what they can have power over and who they can have power over. And here you have a situation where Paul and that particular civil case, well, all of that was coming home to roost in that the accounts were going to be audited, and they were part of that civil trial, and they had been requested. And Alec had also been challenged by the chief financial officer to the tune of $800,000 going missing in legal fees. And he was challenged about that. Right? So his world is starting to unravel. Maggie had left him. She was living in the beach house. She wasn't living at Moselle. So there's separation. And we know that with separation, 76% of murders happen at the point of separation. And when Alec had actually messaged her to say, I want to meet up with you, she had texted her sister saying, I wonder what he's up to. He's up to something. And that's why she goes to meet him up at the kennels. But there were rumors that she wanted a divorce. There were rumors that she had a forensic accountant coming in. And things were unraveling. And therefore, he is now in a situation where he feels like he's losing control. Well, that can be a catastrophic set of circumstances for a man who is a lawyer. So let's not forget, equally, a good trial lawyer, someone who's very good at reading people and situations, and up until this point has not got into trouble. But I believe he was trying to control the situation and the narrative. He was trying to control Paul, and he was angry at him, hence the injuries. And crime scene assessment, I look at how someone's killed, because that paints a picture, the way that he was killed and the way Maggie was. And he was the one that was there at that time. That was proven through Snapchat, through the videos that Paul took him and Maggie talking. So he lied about being present, but he was there. And he lied about whether he checked their pulses or not. He didn't have time to check their pulses, and he'd changed his clothes. So this, to me, is somebody who is very controlling, very manipulative. And of course, there are 99 charges that are still outstanding, the financial charges. So for me, this is and I don't like to use the word classic, but it is a classic domestic violence murder. And yes, there's debt, there's money issues and so on, and it was unraveling, but it's got all the hallmarks. And in terms of psychopathy traits, well, they all seem to be there, particularly lack of empathy and remorse and responsibility taking.
Yes. Well, let's go there, because this is what I don't get it. I don't get how, because they showed the family videos of the birthday parties and everyone seemed to really love him. His kids seemed to really love him. He seemed to show love for his children as well. I don't know that he was in the running for Father of the Year, but there was testimony that they seemed like a very loving family. It wasn't outwardly, at least, perceived by anybody who took that witness stand as a damaged, dysfunctional family in the sense of abuse or in that sense. So what?
But it
makes
depends
a
what
man,
you're looking for, doesn't it, Megyn?
Totally, to the point that we've been discussing for 40 minutes. But what makes a man who, I'm just going to say that he did love his son, Paul. I don't know how he felt about Maggie, but I'm going to say he loved his son. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he's not capable of it. How can a man who does love his son shoot his head off like that one day, seemingly out of the blue?
Well, my first question before we get to that one is, why was Paul drinking to such excess? A kid who's drinking that amount of alcohol to blot stuff out tells me there's more that's going on. And I don't profess to know the family.
That's such a good point. Can I just say, no one's asking that? That's like all the coverage I have done of this case and listened to of this case. I have yet to hear anybody ask that question. That's a very good question.
Because he wasn't just drinking to socialize, was he? He was drinking to absolute excess, that his friends said that this Timmy character came out, this very angry, abusive drunk. Why was he drinking to that level, and why were his family letting him? That tells me a lot. And if I were to go in and ask questions, I think I'd probably uncover a different story and a narrative to this happy, healthy family dynamic. Because there's nothing healthy in a young boy not taking responsibility for his actions, and a grandfather and a father who are just happy to sweep it all under the carpet, no matter how bad, no matter who gets injured and hurt. There's very little empathy or care for anybody else other than them. It's all about circling the wagons and protecting themselves, even when Mallory died. And I do think that is the biggest fear and threat for Alex Murdaugh, is all of it is unraveling, and it's about the reflection on him. He wants to do what he's always done, which is circle the wagons, close everybody down, shut everything, take their voices away so that no one says what's really gone on. But it is all about to come out in a civil case, particularly the forensic accounting. So it's all about to be laid bare. And I think that when someone feels they are at that stage, and the psychopathology for someone like him, where they're about to lose everything, as he sees it, he's the most important person, and he's eliminating the problem. And the problems are Paul and Maggie, because Maggie's there. So it's all a means to an end, which tells me that there's a high probability that he would score highly on the psychopathy checklist.
Look, you did the tough thing during COVID. You paid your people and you pulled your business through the pandemic. Now doing the tough thing could qualify you for up to $26,000 per employee at covidtaxrelief.org. This is a great deal. And this money's already sitting there. It's not like you're tapping into some new tax fund they're going to create on other people. It's already been allotted. Government funds are available right now to reward companies with 2 or more employees who stayed open during COVID. It's not a loan. You don't have to pay it back. The program's complicated. No one knows more about it than the CPAs and tax experts at covidtaxrelief.org. You pay nothing up front. They do all the work. and then share a percentage of the cash they get you. Businesses of all types, including nonprofits and churches, can qualify, including those who took PPP loans, even if you had an increase in sales. You did the tough thing for your employees during COVID. Let covidtaxrelief.org help get you up to $26,000 per employee. Visit covidtaxrelief.org. covidtaxrelief.org, covidtaxrelief.org. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.